Hello and welcome to the Bober Academy Football Podcast. We are excited to bring back our Lineman of the Week series here for the 2022 season, where we're going to be highlighting great offensive line play throughout the Omaha metro area and surrounding areas. We're going to bring high school offensive linemen onto the show and their coaches and talk about their season, what they're doing, and everything to do with offensive line play. This podcast is brought to you by the Bober Academy. I started the Bober Academy in 2019 with the mission to train and develop superior linemen to dominate on the gridiron. I'm your host, Chris Bober, 8-year NFL veteran. I've started games in the NFL at every offensive line position, and I love dealing with anything to do with football, especially the offensive line. Now, if you are listening to this podcast, we're on your podcast app. Just be sure to click the subscribe button. So make sure that you're getting notified of our weekly shows. We do a lot of different shows out there. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, click the little button down there to subscribe to our channel and also the notification bell. We would love your comments and your feedback. And if you're seeing this anywhere out there on social media, feel free to like, share, retweet, comment, whatever goes on out there in the social media world. We want to spread the message of great offensive line play. So thank you for joining us. Let's get to the show. All righty. So we welcome into the Bober Academy Football Podcast studio, i.e. my office here. Over StreamYard, we're going to have some great young men and joining us today, the Elkhorn Antlers, right? I'm a big Antler fan. Obviously, my son graduated from there. My daughter's a senior there. And I'm an Antler at heart, man. I'm a transplant. I'm a convert to the Antlers. So I'll always support you guys. It's great to have you here. We have Coach Dan Feickert. And Coach Feickert, he's a kind of a legacy out there at Elkhorn, won a state championship back in the day, coaches a little bit. Then he comes back and he fills the shoes of a legend himself and Mark Warman. And what does he do his first season? He only loses to one team and has a great season, and they are set up for another great season, right? Starting out at 3-1. Coach Feickert is here. We have All-Stater Aidan Betz. Aidan is a two-time All-Stater, and he plays O-line and D-line. I know he's committed to Minnesota State, so he's pretty excited about that. And, of course, we have the man in the middle, the center, Ben Reynolds. Both Aidan and Ben are students of mine. I got to coach them in the offseason at the Bober Academy. So happy to see their success out here. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks
for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm so glad we got to talk this week because you are coming off just a huge win, right? If you follow the Antlers, they're 3-1. 2-0 to start the season. They go out and play a super physical game against the Gross Cougars. A lot of guys, you guys know these guys. We were in camp together this winter, right? Good, tough physical play. They end up coming out ahead on that one, but the Antlers bounced back. And Coach, first question's for you, right? You start out great, had a very physical game where you feel like it could have went your way against Gross, I believe. Then you come back and bounce back against Skutt. Now, the first half against Skutt, it was a dogfight, right? They were doing some things and having a little success. And then I sent you a text after the game because I don't know what you said to these guys at halftime, but they came out on fire. I mean, it was a different level. They were playing harder than I've seen them play in a long time. Tell me how that happened. What'd you say to those guys at half, and what was that like coming from, narrowly missing a victory and losing to Gross, but then not starting hot against Skutt, but then somehow you guys came out and pulled off a 34-13 victory?
Yeah, I think kind of our big thing all week was just how do you respond to adversity? We were dealing with the first loss of the season. And for a lot of these guys, it's the first loss to a team other than Bennington. So it's kind of just like, I think the initial shock of, well, we lost a game. What does that mean? And really I was challenging them just with, it's not necessarily that you lose, it's how you respond. And so I felt like we had our best week of practice last week. And then Skutt, it was kind of like, we've been talking about how we hadn't had a long run all year, and then we came out and ripped off a 70-yarder right away. And I think we kind of, at least in my head, I think we were all kind of thinking, ooh, this is going to happen every series. And then it didn't. And Skutt, well coached, they got good athletes. They kind of stuffed it a little bit. Halftime, Chris, I'd like to say I gave some rah-rah big speech, but you can tell, ask the boys. I kind of said, hey, it's a 4-quarter game. This game's not over. It's halftime. And I really felt like we got better as that game went on. So we made some adjustments, and the kids are coachable, and it worked out.
Nice. Yeah. The second half was much better. Aidan, let me ask you this. What was the difference between coming off of Gross? you didn't have probably the first half you wanted against Skutt. Did you say anything? Was there anything said, or is it just kind of an unwritten, like, hey guys, a look? You looked at each other and said, let's step it up. What happened in the second half versus Skutt?
Well, I think we knew the first half, it was tough at halftime. We were a little down, but we knew once we got through the tough patch that we were going to come on top. I think there was still confidence in the locker room. I don't think we had any, I think we didn't lose any confidence. We just knew that we just had to stop them, go back and score, and get the once we got that momentum back, we knew that we had the game in our hands. That's just what it came down to.
Yeah, momentum's such a huge thing in football, and the good teams, the great teams are the ones who know how to kind of put a stop to that negative momentum and get it turned around. Now, Ben, tell me, being the center, obviously I was a center too. You're kind of in charge of getting everyone lined up and getting them going. I noticed a couple little tweaks you guys did. Tell me about what you did different in the second half. I think schematically you changed up just a little bit, and it kind of got you the edge, and then that momentum carried over.
Yeah, we changed a couple blocking schemes with our tight ends a little bit, but we kept it pretty simple in the middle and just went out, got backers, and did what we were supposed to do, and it really pulled together in the second half.
Yeah, you guys are lucky to play in a great offense. And I was talking to Coach last week before the game. He's down there setting up the video. This is what a head coach does. He set up the video cameras and stuff down there. And what he mentioned was that, and what I talked to him about was, I love the scheme you guys have. Right, you guys are so simple, but within that scheme, there's little nuances. And I noticed it since Austin played with you guys a couple of years ago. You've really expanded that rip package. Coach, tell me about kind of what you do out there. I see you guys run dive, you guys run trap, you guys run counter, you guys run a toss play that you're really trying to implement, and you guys run that lead play, almost like a duo where you split the defense right at the C gap. Tell me about your offensive philosophy and how you guys run it up front and how you guys do it overall.
Yeah, we've been doing the same thing, Chris, really for 40 plus years. It's the offense that I ran, it's the offense that I inherited, and I love it. We keep it simple. We run power off tackle. We run pitch, we run trap, we got counter, we got ISO. I mean, it really boils down to that. And from there, we can obviously quarterback can keep, or we can go play action. And it starts with up front. If we're moving people, if we're getting off the ball, if we're getting positive yardage every play, we get really tough to stop. So the one really nice thing about, we're in a day and age where everybody's spread and everybody's, shotgun. And we've got our spread package too, which we've used and we'll continue to use this year. But the nice thing about being under center is you hand the ball off to a tailback, and usually a bad play results in a 2-yard gain. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like. If we can kind of stay ahead of the chains and keep getting positive yardage, that's when good things happen.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. It's so simple, but you do it really, really well. And like I said, I noticed on that lead play, some of the plays you have, you had some down blocks a little bit differently the way Skutt was playing that 6-2 against you guys, and you kind of exploited that little fold there and changed up a little bit how you led that fullback and tied in through there. So little things like that, but you don't have to change the whole scheme. Don't have to throw it all out the window. Now, Ben, you're as a center in the middle. Tell me about this offense for you guys. What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about it up front? What's your favorite plays? What do you guys like doing?
Yeah, I enjoy pounding the rock with our rip offense, and I like getting to backers, and I do like our little play action passes that we throw in there every now and then. And I like having our quarterback who can run the ball. I love it when he's carrying the ball, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot changes in the middle, man. You got a guy right over you, just take him off the ball. Now, Betz over there, a tackle, he gets to do a little bit more, right? You see him a lot of times on double teams on the front side, but you got him pulling a little bit too. And obviously the athlete that he is a big benefit. So Betz, tell me, what do you like in this offense?
Well, I like how we implemented a lot of new things. I like that it's not just the simple run up the middle. We have different niches, like you said, that we can do, little traps and little counters that we do. And this last week, that counter that worked, that I pulled, that worked really well. I thought that new stuff really keeps the defense off balance. You don't know what's going to come next.
Yeah, you got to kind of pick your poison if you guess wrong. I love it when I'm watching you guys and they're just like throwing guys up at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden you hit a quick little trap on them. That's awesome because that's got one layer you break through, and all of a sudden the guy's into the secondary. So I love it, Coach. Now you're blessed with a great offensive line. I mean, you guys are big dudes. great athletes. I've coached a lot of those guys, and I'm really impressed with what you have. You guys have one of the best lines around. But you also are blessed with some pretty good skill players. And these guys kind of came out of nowhere, honestly. I mean, the last couple of years, that championship year, you guys had, some great athletes. They're all state type players. And last year, Hayden Steck and some of those guys. And then all of a sudden this year, KJ Shank shows up and he's pulling off a couple 100 yards a game. And you got Cooper Fetty in there. He's blasting it. And you got Suffolk who gives you a threat down the field. And of course you got Connor Hunt. Tell me about your skilled players and kind of what they've meant to this team this year.
Yeah, this is a group of guys that they've been playing together for a while, Chris. And the best thing about them is we don't really have a flashy guy. KJ is a great example of, you see the kid you see the kid walking down the street and you wouldn't think, oh, that's a 200-yard a game back. But you give him the ball and he's not flashy. He runs a 4.7. But if he hits a seam, he hits it and he means it. And the interesting thing is, I feel like we've got a group of kids that really buy into what we do. Which is not always the case everywhere. And it'd be hard for some kids to say, hey, we're going to be in double tight for most of the game. We're going to be getting 3 and 4 yards of carry. It's not going to be flashy. It's going to be ugly sometimes. But no, I always tell them, hey, an ugly 6-yard gain is about the most beautiful thing in the world. And KJ is really good at getting the ugly 6-yard gains. Connor Hunt is really good at, just when he needs to, he'll pull and he puts his head down. Like I think of that, run against Skutt, it was 4th and 2 and we called him to pull and he pulled it. And when he came off on the fake, I kind of thought maybe he was going to run for the pylon, but if you know anything about Connor Hunt, he likes running people over. So he decided to kind of put his head down and just get in the end zone. So no, we do what we're blessed with. We're blessed with good linemen, Chris. We're blessed with good skill kids. And we're just really, we're fortunate that they buy into what we do.
Yeah. And they love it. And you can see, Ben, tell me, you're the center. You got a special relationship with the quarterback, giving you the closeness of you guys during every single play. But I heard you mention how you love Connor Hunt back there, and he's a tough kid, man. I've known Connor for a long time, and I was not surprised that he did not go for the pylon there. Tell me what it's like blocking for Connor. I mean, he's an intense dude. You know what I mean? And he is very competitive. And I felt like in the Skutt game, he was that extra element, kind of put the team on his back and said, we're not going to be denied down here. Tell me what it's like blocking for Connor and kind of the relationship you guys have.
Yeah, me and Connor are good buddies, always hanging out on the weekend together, hanging out at school together. And I love having Connor as my quarterback. He's always on big plays. He's always getting everyone hyped in the huddle before we go out there. And he's a fiery guy, and it's great blocking for him, having him lead our team.
Yeah, just a tremendous athlete and competitor. And I noticed, Coach, you have Connor play a little safety too. I mean, you can't keep that guy off the field.
He's too good of an athlete, Chris. We need him on both sides of the ball.
I hear you. And he comes downfield like a missile. Speaking of defense, I noticed last game, Betsy's always been a great defensive player, but Ben made a lot of plays. You got some guys up front making a lot of big stops up there. Betz, tell me about, playing both ways, right? I know you're on the fence, right? You're going up to Minnesota State, offense or defense. I'm throwing the defense out of there because I want you to play O-line. But you're on the field for a lot. How do you handle being on the field that much? And is it a different mindset? What's it like having to go both ways?
I think the mindset is a lot more calm. You can't get too high or too low. I think you just got to know you're doing it for the team. You can't let these guys down because you have to be on the field for them because they do everything for you. You got to do everything for them. It's just everything to win. The mindset's just more calm. You can't get too high or too low. You just got to stay level-headed the whole game and just push through. You can't think about getting tired. Play for the people next to you.
I love it. That's a great mindset. I felt like people would get maybe a little too emotional. They do experience the highs and lows, but if you don't get any plays off, you don't get any time to think about it. So that's probably a blessing. All right, Coach, you got a big game coming up, right? And like I said, I'm going to be on the call this week for your game. It's going to be on TV. And this Bennington team, tell me, as a coach, last couple of years, Antler's only lost a handful of games, but they've lost 3 of those games to Bennington. What does it mean to go into this Bennington team? What's your message? I know it's just another opponent, but there's a little bit more with Bennington. They got a really good team, and I feel like this year you guys might be a good matchup with them.
Yeah, Bennington, they deserve to be the number one team in the state right now. I 100% agree with that. They're 13-0 last year, they're 4-0 now, and I think their coaches do a great job of knowing what they have too. Last year they had a really good O-line. They had a 3,000-yard back that ran the ball a lot. This year, their offense kind of works through this Trey Bird who can run and throw, and they've got another good running back. And they're a really talented team, Chris. And we kind of, our focus this week has been, can we get better? What can we get better at? Because I tell these kids all the time, I feel like we've got the best O-line in the state, and we have to go out there and prove it. And so it's one of those things that we're looking at, little things that we can always improve on, that we're emphasizing during the week. Obviously Bennington, is going to be a really good team, and we know that. But the good thing, Chris, is, we have, I think, the toughest schedule in the state. So, we get a turnaround after beating Skutt, and we get to go play number one Bennington. So it brings out the best in us every week. And I really feel like we learned from our loss to Gross. And I think we've just, kind of slowly been getting better. And that's really what it is. If we can get a little better each week and get through our schedule, we'll kind of know come playoff time who we got to beat and what we got to do.
Yeah. I like it. Great answer. Betsy, let me ask you a question. All right. So last year, Bennington had 5 seniors on the O-line. Okay. They lost all those guys. They graduated. And they got some good dudes up there. I agree, but maybe not the line they had last year. Do you feel like up front, both on offense and defense, that this is a game that needs to be won by you guys, right? They got some good skilled players, right? Do you feel like you need to control the trenches even more this week, just because you don't want to let these guys get too far away from you?
Well, I think that's something you got to do every week. You got to be every week. If you can win the battle up front every week, you're going to win. I think that's just the goal every week. And of course, this week is the same thing. Yeah, they lost a lot of linemen last year, but those people this year got to learn from the guys last year. So they're also very good too. So I still have respect for them, and they're going to be a good O-line, D-line. So it should be a good battle, but of course we're going to try to win the battle up front.
Yep. How about you, Ben? What's this Bennington team mean to you this week? It's a big game, obviously. What do you think about going into this game?
Yeah, I remember the feeling walking off their field in the freezing cold weather last year, and I'm super excited to have them this week and get a second shot at taking them down.
Nice. That, big week, but again, it just counts for one, right, Coach? Tell me, every year, Coach Wortman always had a saying coming in every year. It's usually on your shirts, and the saying you kind of say. What's the Elkhorn Antlers message this year?
Chris, it's funny because for 42 years, Coach Wortman came up with a new quote every year. I came in year one and I had day by day as our quote. And I think I've fallen in love with it so much that I'm going to have that one stick around for a little while longer. So it's kind of becoming more, instead of a quote, it's kind of more of a program motto. And so that's kind of what we look at. And, I probably say it more than I realize, but, every day we just want to get better. And we had a great practice today, Chris. I feel like we had a better practice today than yesterday. I feel like we're having a better week of practice than last week. So it's just each day and each week we're getting better. And hopefully again tomorrow have a good pregame practice, and then Friday we want to play a little better than last week. So that's one of the beautiful things I think that we've done really well in Elkhorn football for a long time is it's a long journey. From the first game August 26th to November 22nd. It's a long journey to get there. It's 13 weeks of football. And you can't get caught up in trying to get all the way to the end goal. So, we try and take it in what we can control, which is practice today, practice tomorrow, playing better this week than we did last week. So that's kind of where we're at. So day by day.
Nice. I like it. Stick with what works, right? Ben, tell me about Coach Feickert, man. You had Wortman obviously for a couple of years. Now you got Coach Feickert. Tell me the differences. What's it like with Coach Feickert? I mean, I'm jacked up by him just being around him, kind of like I was with Wortman. What's it like having Coach Feickert at the head?
Yeah, I love having Coach Feickert as head coach. I wouldn't want any other head coach than him, and I love his calm presence that he brings to the team. At the locker room, he always has us take a deep breath in, and before games, deep breath out. And I trust him in the plays he calls, plays he runs. I enjoy having him as coach.
Yeah, Coach, he's done a great job coming in. Now, there's another coach that's been there for a long time that carried over from Wortman. I mean, a lot of them did, obviously. But tell me about Betsy. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Backus, right? I got every time I see Coach Backus, I talk to him for 15 minutes, right? He's got so many stories. He knows everyone. Austin's told me tons of stories. My son, tell me about Backus. What's he like out there having a coach like Backus who's been around forever with his knowledge?
Well, it's pretty cool because he's seen everything, so he knows what's happening, and he's always calm. There's nothing ever makes him surprised really or anything. He always knows what to do, what's going on, and he's just a calming presence, and he knows football more than anybody, so he's gonna know what to do. I feel like he's just a great coach, and he's helped Connor Hunt become a great quarterback too.
Yeah, it's probably a great calming force for you, Coach, too. I saw that in Warman, in the playoffs a couple years ago when you guys won it. There was no panic with him. He'd been around and he'd been in those games, and that's where I really saw how great he was as a coach. Is Coach Backus having him around kind of feel like you kind of have that experience on your side?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I give Backus a pretty hard time. I teach a couple rooms away from him, and I see him a ton. I see him now more than I see my wife, I swear. And I'm seeing him every day, but no, I always give him a hard time because I feel like we balance each other out pretty well because I'm the young guy, I'm full energy, and I'm always bouncing around, or I'm usually worried about something. So I love that Ben says I'm a calming presence because in my head I don't feel that way. But Backus does a pretty good job of trying to get me to relax and keeping things in perspective. And like Betsy said, it takes a lot to get John Backus fired up, and he'll get fired up when he needs to. But no, I feel like we do kind of have a pretty good relationship going from when he was my coach back in the day when I got to play for him, and it's kind of cool now to get a coach with him.
Oh man! And Coach, if you see him in the halls, he's probably stretching. I want to be Coach Backus when I'm his age, right? I want to be out there running and doing the stretches and doing all the stuff that he does. He's an inspiration, definitely. But Coach, to finish us off, tell me about your guys up front. You got Aidan, Betz, and Ben Reynolds here. Tell me what's like coaching these guys. I know you got some other great players up there. Tell me about your big boys.
Yeah, no, our team, Chris, each year really kind of ebbs and flows with our O-line and our seniors. And we've got, these two guys were selected by their teammates as captains for a reason. They lead us up front. Benny's always making sure we're blocking the right people and getting in the right calls. And, Betsy is just a people mover. I can run behind that guy, and we do run behind that guy a lot. So no, I knew coming into this year, Chris, that our O-line was going to be our strength, and we've got good skill guys, like you said, but no, I love coaching them. They're coachable, which is, I think, the best compliment you can give a kid. If I tell Ben Reynolds to do something, he's going to do it the first time you ask him, and so it's just, having these two up front leading us. And the other nice thing is you can put maybe more inexperienced guys next to them, and they'll help them along too. So we've utilized that already this year with having some tight ends that maybe need a little bit of help. We'll throw them on the left side by Betsy, or having a guard that maybe is not 100% sure exactly where they're going, and Benny can kind of point them in the right direction. So they show great leadership on the field.
Nice. Yeah. And coachable is a great word for them, because I had them for 8 weeks in my school, and they were some of the most coachable guys I've had. So that you can tell why they're successful is because they're coachable. They listen to their coaches, and they work hard. All right, Betz, tell me about your O-lineman, right? I mean, I know a lot of these guys, but give me the scoop on these guys. Like who's the funny one? Who thinks they're, the pretty boy? I mean, I think Ben over here with his hair, he's kind of the best looking one of the bunch. But tell me about your guys, man. What's it like with these guys, and what's their personalities like?
Oh, it's awesome. Ben's he's the smile guy. He's always happy. I mean, Jackson is the left guard. He's put on so much work in the off season. He's gained so much weight. He's just the smart guy that's everywhere. But I always add the tight ends too. And Tanner Houck, I would say, is he's probably the pretty boy. I would say but I love that guy. Me and him have had that connection for 2 years now. We've talked for 2 years, and the right side of Gavin's been there for a while. He knows what's going on. We have a new right tackles now, so those guys are getting their first time playing varsity, and they're doing a pretty good job. And I think even Aidan is doing pretty good too. His first year really playing varsity, he's just stepping up to the plate. So it's a great guys to have around the team, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and you got to probably throw Cooper Fetty in there too, man. Fullback, he's coming off the ball just like a lineman. How about Ben? What about you? Tell me, you're in the middle. You get to see both sides. What do you guys like up front?
Yeah, we got new right tackle this year from Jupiter, Florida, Willie Rush. I love having him around. He's good addition to the line. And Gavin Glover, he's a little bit quieter out there, but he's super tough as nails. And Jackson Eddie, I love having him next to me because we communicate great and we kind of sort out the D-line if they're switching it up on us. And Betz, 4-year starter, he'd feel like playing next to an NFL player over there, but he's great. He's great having him over there. Yeah.
That's all. I see an evolution in your O-line the last couple of years, and it's been great. And you guys as seniors, as captains, you guys kind of a legacy you want to leave here. Obviously, bring some of these younger guys along because so the cupboard isn't bare next year for Coach Feickert out there. But guys, tell you what, I just appreciate you guys so much. I love watching you guys play. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I'm rooting for you guys every week, man. And I see what you guys do up front. It kind of brings a tear to my eye to work with you guys all offseason and see you guys be so successful. And, I am wishing you guys the best of luck this week against Bennington, man. They've been – I think their time's coming, man. I think that you guys are going to match up well, fight it out there up front and play all 4 quarters. And, Coach, go get those Badgers this week, man.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, guys, thanks so much for coming on. I'll be out there on the broadcast this week, but I'll be I can't outwardly root for you guys on the broadcast, but I'll be inside. I will be. You know what I mean? I gotta be a little unbiased. But anyway, it's great to have you guys on. I wish you guys the best of success. I'll be watching you all year, all the way through the playoffs, and hopefully down in Lincoln on those big dates for the state championship. So thanks for coming on, guys. We will see you out there on Friday.
Thanks for having us, Chris.
Thank you.
The Bober Academy Football Podcast is available on all podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, we're going to be on there. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. That way you get notified of new episodes. Also, we are on YouTube. If you want to find us on YouTube, just search for the Chris Bober Lineman Academy. And be sure to also subscribe to our page. Click the notification bell and feel free to comment, share everything that goes on there. We're on social media as well. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We even have a page on TikTok. So the more you can follow us out there, the more we can spread the message of great offensive line play out there. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, be sure to reach out to us through any of those social media channels and spread the word. We want to get offensive line play great here and everywhere across the area.